Hey, thanks a lot for dropping by and wanting to know more about how to be a property developer and how to make those really big profits developing rooming and co-living investment properties. Developers are the ones that make the most money. Just one well-designed and developed project can literally set you up for life. And you really can make anywhere from 12 to 18% returns and up to $300,000 instant equity, right? Developing your own rooming or co-living investment property. One or two properties can set you up for life if you do it right. So look, we already know property developers are the masterminds behind the construction of literally every building you see standing around you, right? They come up with the idea, they manage the project, they organize the finance, liaise with the architect, market the property, hire the builder, and make 20 to 35% profit. On the right there, you can see Harry Triguboff. He's Australia's either richest or second richest man. And he started driving taxis and having a milk run. And yet today, he's a multi-billionaire through property investing and property development. Property developers, they really are the ones that make the most money in the property market because they don't wait for the market to rise. They create increased value in every property they get involved with. Now, if you buy any property in Australia, yes, you're going to make money because properties go up in Australia over time and you will make money in the long run. So definitely you need to get into property. By adding value through developing or renovating or doing something to the property, you will actually be creating or manufacturing increased value in the property that you're investing in. And over 53 of Australia's top 200 rich list made their fortune developing, constructing, or investing in property, and most of the other 147 actually hold their wealth in property. So you're going to be in good company. And as I said, you don't have to be a billionaire to take advantage of the knowledge that I'm going to share with you on this training. I'm sure, have you heard this saying? Cash flow is what? King. That is correct. Right? Now, rooming house investments and developments offer the most reliable, positive cash flow income of any residential property type today. And that is not something I say lightly. You can see there on the right, that particular program package, $870,000 rooming house can get you 10.46% return, guaranteed for up to 5 years, and $150,000 to $250,000 in developer profits just by doing one of these projects. And you don't even have to do all the work because with some of these ones, it can already be done for you, and I'll explain that to you how that works. So you want to know why rooming house is such a good investment or co-living such a good investment? I've put a whole summit together, the Rooming House Investor Summit, where I talk about the benefits, who are the ideal tenants, what are the costs, which areas to do it in, the biggest pitfalls to avoid. Or you can read my book, The Creating Wealth with Harrington Property, that'll explain all about the why, invest in this type of property. But here I want to talk about how to actually develop this type of property. So let's have a look, first of all, how much capital gain can you get from developing a rooming or a co-living house? Now, we know that recent sales of rooming and co-living properties have shown gains of up to 16 to 27% and even more in value when sold immediately after the construction is finished. Now, I want you to hear that again. There are people that have invested in these properties and they didn't even do all the work, right? Just by investing in one of these properties and building it from scratch, getting involved in the process from the get-go, right? Anywhere from 16 to 27% of added equity or manufactured growth or value in that property was created for that particular investor. And I'm going to show you exactly how we did that. All right, let's look at this rooming house that made $245,000 profit for the investor in less than 1 year, plus it was bought with a 9.75% rental income yield. Now, it was sold development ready in 2023, and you can see that it was actually one big block that was split into two, and each one was sold for $1,040,000 with the rooming house to be constructed on that site. The projected rent of the finished development was $101,000 and $386 with a 9.74% gross yield. Now, when it was finished, one of those investors actually wanted to sell this property, and they sold it in just 11 months later, right? And they sold it for $1,285,000, as you can see there, which is a $245,000 profit. But the new investor, whoever bought that property, was getting 7.88% gross yield. And you know, some people are happy with that because they don't want to go through what they perceive to be is the risk of buying something off the plan or developing it, you know, along with somebody like ourselves, you know, and they want to buy the finished product. Well, yeah, you can do that, but that's the kind of profit that you're giving up by buying a finished property, right? Here's another one. This one made $270,000 profit in just 11 months. Plus, it was giving a 9.88% return, right, on a investment property, which is unheard of in the residential market. That's what the property looked like. It was sold off the plan, if you like, back in 23 for $1,080,000. It was development ready, so the plans were drawn up, everything was ready to go. The projected rent was $106,650 per annum with that 9.88% yield. Now, once again, most of these properties, people will hold them once they're built. But there's a few that have been resold, and this one resold for $1,350,000. Again, less than a year later, for a 25% jump in value, you know, of that property. The investor that bought it only got a 7.9% gross yield, but they were still happy with that because it was a completed product. They didn't have to worry about the building. They didn't have to wait. They got the instant income from the day they bought the property. Now, $270,000 though was forsaken for the sake of convenience. So remember, if you're looking for convenience with properties, you will ultimately pay a penalty, right? If you get involved from the start, you will make more money. It's as simple as that. Here's another example. Winter Valley, which is in Ballarat, where we have a couple of good sites at the moment where we're looking for partners to develop them. If you build a normal residential property there, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, they're selling for around $790,000. Right, the developer profit in that will be somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000 if you bought the land originally and built the property and went through all the approvals and everything. But the end result is you're getting a product that gets $550 a week and 3.6% return. Now you compare it to another property that we've got actually with the designs and everything's already approved for building a rooming house, which will actually get a $1,750 a week and 10.46% return. And this is going to be guaranteed for 5 years. And the cost to build this property is only about $80,000 and $90,000 more than a regular property, such as the one on the right. But you've still got $150,000, $200,000 or $250,000 in developer profit in that property if you get in on the ground level before it's completed. Because once that property is completed, right, based on the other examples I've shown you, it could be worth anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 more based on the examples that we've seen in the past. Now, let's look at the 11 steps you actually need to take to become a rooming or co-living investment property developer. Because by now, I hope you're getting a little bit excited about the potential of this type of property investment. And look, I certainly got excited about this type of property investing. And I'm selling a couple of my other property investments to buy into these types of properties. So let's do this journey together. So the 11-step development, just to summarize, number one is you got to do your research. We're going to talk about analyzing the numbers. How do you build your success team? How do you find the right land to build on? The zoning and town planning you have to take into consideration. How do you buy or reserve or option the land? Designing the concept that you're going to put on the land. What are you going to build there? Then how do you find the builder, get quotes, organizing your finance, and finally building, certifying it, and then appointing an agent to either sell it or rent it, and then celebrating your win. So let's get right into it, and let's get into doing your research. So first of all, you got to contact every other rooming house ad you see. Go for drives around your area, right? Look at the design, get other people's information, compare selling prices, look at the areas where people are building in, drive through those areas. In other words, become a rooming house sleuth or an expert like I've become. I've actually just written a book about it. I'll talk about it a little bit later, right? So that's the first thing. My own property investing history, it'll give you a bit of an understanding of how I think, was I bought my first investment property back in 1984, and I've purchased 24 more properties for myself since then, right? I also still hold a current Queensland real estate agents and auctioneer license, and I do a lot of research to actually, before I buy any property. I do that for myself, and I also help the clients that I work with do the same thing. So this particular property, I personally made $1,950,000 profit over the years that I had it. And look, that's what it looked like before. When you looked at the lounge room, that's what it was like. I turned it into that. That was one of the downstairs rooms, and that was turned into that. Can you see the difference? What about this master bedroom as opposed to this master bedroom? That's how you manufacture growth. I maximize the income. I would have made some money out of this property whether I did anything to it, because that's how the real estate market in Australia works. However, because I added value, right, or I developed property or renovated property, you end up making more money. This is another property I own. Do you think it's possible to make $210,000 in 6 months from a one-bedroom apartment? I bet you're going to say that's impossible, but guess what? I did it. I bought this particular property in March 2021 for $530,000. I sold it in October 2021 for $740,000. It was an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment. Now, before it looked like this. Now, when I bought it, there was no furniture in it, right? It was actually sold empty, but then I transformed it into this. That's the lounge room in that particular apartment. Here was the other bedroom, it was like a study area. I turned it into this beautiful, it's actually had a wall there as well, so you could close it off, so it became a 2-bedroom apartment. This was the bedroom before, and again, I transformed it into that. So once again, added value, right? Manufactured value, developing, renovating. That's how you make money in real estate. Here's another property I own. I'm just talking about some recent ones, right? $302,000 profit in 2.5 years for a 2-bedroom apartment I bought. You tell me how many apartments you know that people can make that sort of money with. Now, before, this was the lounge room. And by the way, I bought that in February 2019 for $748,000. I sold it in May 2021 for $1,050,000, just before the big boom in Australia in property on the Gold Coast. Right? I still made $300,000 because I turned that lounge room into something that looked like those pictures on the right. I put new flooring down, I added value, I manufactured some growth in that property. This was the bedroom when I bought it. That's the bedroom that I sold it with. Whoever bought it fell in love with it, because when I do properties, whether it's rooming house or co-living or home units, anything I get involved with, I make them look so that people fall in love with living there, buying it or renting it because they love it. And this is the difference. You got to have a bit of passion in what you develop. Don't just develop these cookie cutter blocks and rooming houses that some people do, which are like shoe boxes, right? You've got to do things that are actually different, that are better, that are unique, that'll appeal to the market that you're either selling or renting to. And that's what we're really good at. And we can help you actually learn the process through this, through coming here along. If you want to know how I did all those things, by the way, I have done a renovation profit seminar years ago. You can see there how to find, renovate, and sell for crazy profits. I did a training on that years ago. I've still got it somewhere. We can get you some of that. Or I've written a book also on how to sell or rent your home faster and for more money, which again talks about how do you add value to a property and sell it for more money, when most people are just hoping that somebody is going to give them more money and the market goes up, right? So it's about creating value, manufacturing value in the properties that you buy. Here's a good example. I bought this property, $1,150,000, sold it 5 years later for $2,185,000, over $1 million more. Now, I did spend about $400,000 renovating it because it was a big property, right? It was a lot of work, but still the profit was $635,000 for the effort that we put into that property. Today is probably worth about 6 or 7 million, maybe more. And by the way, the investor that I sold this property to, we're still friends to this day. He was actually the best man at my wedding. That was around 20 years ago I did this particular property. So you can actually, I hope that one day we're going to become friends through this process as well. I'm still friends with the guy that bought it. So the second thing in becoming a developer after your research is do your numbers, right? Analyze the numbers. Make sure it will be profitable in the end. There is a saying, you make money when you buy a property, right? So what are the land costs going to be? What are the building costs going to be? What are the holding costs? What other fees and charges will you have to pay? There is a software called Fee Study. It's an industry standard software tool, right, which is used by developers and values to investigate what the financial feasibility and profitability will be of any particular development project. Now, if you go to their website, I think they've got a free trial as well. You've got to understand all the costs of developing a particular property. Now, if you don't want to do that yourself, we can do it for you, and you can still make a good profit and have a really good property that will give you great income. But remember, the more work you do yourself, obviously, the more profit you make. It's no different to, you could go to the supermarket, you buy all your food, your veggies, your meat, your whatever you like to eat. You go home, you cook it up. 3 or 4 hours later, you make this beautiful gourmet meal. You can put a beautiful tablecloth, wine. You have a romantic dinner with your wife or your husband, and you enjoy the evening. The other option is you just go to a restaurant, right? You don't have to buy the food. You don't have to do the cleaning up, no cooking, right? It's all done for you, but you're paying a premium for it. It works the same in property, right? You become, when you're a developer, you become like you become like the restaurant for yourself, right? But if you're doing it for yourself with property, the rewards are much greater than just cooking a meal for yourself. You're better off becoming a developer and getting a property like this, and then going to a restaurant and celebrating the money you're going to make out of the property. I'm telling you, I've done both. Here's an example of doing your numbers, right? You're basically looking at all the costs, land, stamp duty, conveyancing, you add it all up. That's just an example of one of the analysis that you might want to be doing. There's other things to take into consideration, but I'll give you an idea of how you do your numbers when you're looking at these projects. The third thing you're going to have to do if you want to do this, become a developer and actually start developing your own projects, is you've got to build your development success team to help you. You're going to need to have real estate agents to help you find the land and development sites, and also to sell the finished product if you want to sell it or rent it. You're going to need architects to help you design the project, to get the development application, the building application approvals from the council. So that's a very essential part of your team, is an architect. Engineers and surveyors, they got to actually do the research work to see, how much it's going to cost. Like they got to do, the soil test and make sure that the footings and the slab is going to be able to be built, what it's going to cost, because that's where the greatest cost in a property can be. If you, like, for example, have a sloping block, it's going to cost you more than a flat block. So they're essential. And you're going to need someone to do your finance. So you need to have a good finance person. If you want a finance person, call me. We've got some great contacts who can help you in this area. Now, solicitors, of course, you're going to need to get your contracts prepared and checked, advise you or prepare the best legal structures, and for protection and tax effectiveness, that's going to be an essential one. And of course, accountant, to make sure you maximize your tax deduction, and minimize your tax, right? You don't want to be paying more tax than you have to. Do you love paying tax? I know, we all hate paying tax, but do not buy negatively geared properties, whatever you do. If you do what I'm showing you here, you will have positive cash flow, which is what this thing is all about, right? You don't want to be losing money in order to save tax. You want to be making money and pay more tax. That's how you get rich. Now, step number 4 in the development process, of course, very important, is to find the right land. So you need to contact agents, drive by areas, and contact owners directly. If you see a block of land with an old, dilapidated property on it, maybe you just try and contact the owners direct. Look online, build referral networks of land suppliers. We've been doing this for years, so obviously we've got the contacts in that area. And the important thing is you got to buy suitable land in the right location at the right price. That is critical to your development success, right? If you get the land at the right price. Now you have 3 options when buying land. You can actually find land with an existing property you can either knock down or you can convert into a rooming house. I don't recommend converting old properties because, rooming houses are a gourmet product for the right type of renter. And if you do it the way I'm going to show you and we're going to teach you, and the way we do it, you're pretty much assured you're going to find good quality tenants and high rentals, right? When you're converting an old property, you already got old problems. So the best thing is to start from scratch. That is the most profitable way of doing it. There is a couple of people doing the conversions. There's a guy called Ian Ugarte. He teaches you how to do the conversions, right? But I just think building a new property is more profitable. So the second option is you find an empty single block of land you can build on. So you find a block of land and you put one rooming house on that land. And this is an example of where we've done that in a couple of areas. Behind me you can see some of the land that's already, everything's pretty much sold out here except for a couple of blocks. We've got one opportunity here with a rooming house, $1,750 a week rent. Most of these are going to be putting houses on them that you're going to get about $500 a week for. So you're getting more than 3 times the rent. And this is literally 1 minute away from the shopping center that I've showed you somewhere else in this video. Just wanted to show you just what a great location these properties are. You've got a major shopping center with everything you could want. Dan Murphy's, Kmart, Woolies. There's restaurants, there's coffee shops. There's a petrol station you can see behind me there. There's cafes, right? And there's a completely one of the biggest shopping centers in Ballarat. And you've got cinemas, Woolies, Bunnings, Kmart. Literally 1 minute drive from this particular location. So it's a great location. And this is going to be a really good investment if you can still get this one, because they're not going to last long and the returns are going to get lower. It's a fantastic investment for your super fund or for out of super fund if you're looking to pay off your mortgage faster, maybe get good tax depreciation benefits. These are fantastic investment, and it's all tax-free money if you invest in your super fund after 65. So you're getting capital growth plus a fantastic return on these types of properties. So there you have it. See, we have some sites already ready to go where we're just looking for investors who want to become our development partner, if you like, and share in the actual upside of the developing the property. Of course, the builder and we do get an agent's commission as well, so we make some money in the process. However, you don't have to do the whole thing yourself that I'm showing you here and know every single part of this journey becoming a developer. So let's go to the last one, which is the third option to finding the right land, which is to find what we call a larger splitter block with or without an old house. You can then knock down or whatever, right? But this particular land you can split into 2 or more rooming properties, because you can have 2 blocks of land and you put in 2 properties on them, and then you can either sell one or keep them both depending on your finances or what your goals are. But these are a great opportunity for developing rooming houses. We do this all the time with some of the more boutique developments, especially in areas such as Brisbane, where land is now more expensive, and it's very hard to just buy a block of land and build one rooming house because the cost of land is just so expensive. Now here's one example of that $660,000 profit. How would you like to do that with one development, right? And maybe even more if you did the whole thing yourself. This was actually done for the investor. It was an old property bought for $975,000 on a 910 square meter block of land. Now this was subdivided into 2 blocks of land, and each one was sold with off the plan with a rooming house design and ready to be built for $1,100,000 to a couple of investors. After they were completed, one of those properties was sold for $1,430,000, literally less than a year later again after it was built, right? And it was getting $2,200 per week in rental income. That house before would have been getting about $700 or $800, right? So that's the power of developing, or even getting involved in development-ready projects where you're not doing all the work, you're just getting the benefit of basically getting in and building something from scratch rather than buying a finished product, which is going to obviously cost you more money. So here's an example of how we look for land. So these are the kinds of sites we look for. Across the road from me is a big block that sometimes we can cut that one into 2, and then we will construct a rooming house or 2 rooming houses on the one site, such as we've done on the one behind us here. This one's actually getting $2,100, $2,200 a week for 5 separate micro apartments within that complex. But these are the sort of land blocks that we're looking at actually subdividing, because you can cut these in half and put 2 properties on there. They've got to be the right size, but we can do that specially to you. Or if you've got a block of land, we can build on your land and construct a block like that. That's as soon as they're finished, these properties go up by anywhere from 16 to 27% based on past sales of completed and tenanted rooming and co-living house type properties. So make sure you give me a call and see if we've got one of these sites available, and you can get involved. that's another way of doing it, is that, you know, you, as I said, you do the splitter blocks, and that's a really good way if you got the funds to do that. If you haven't, we might already have a block of land where we could help you just get into one side of that splitter block and still make a profit if you become a co-development partner with us. Now, next thing is you got to deal with zoning and town planning issues. You got to contact the council or consult with a local town planner. You need to find out exactly what you can and cannot do on your chosen development site, what is the zoning requirements and so on. The good news is that rooming houses are a very, very low, I guess, if you like, low, classification. So they're either 1A or 1B. Normally they're 1B zoning, which is quite easy to get. So it's not a very expensive exercise. You're going to have to understand these two plans, the LEP or the local environment plan, which is basically what you can build. And secondly, the DCP or the development control plan, which is how you have to build it. So there is some restrictions with every development. You got to know, how large a property you can make, how the individual rooms have to be. Is there any restrictions such as handicapped access and so on? So we know all that. We've done all that stuff for you if you don't want to learn all that. But if you do it all, as I said, you'll make more money, right? If you do every step here, like the cook in the kitchen, if you go and you know what? You know how you can make more money and save money even more when you want a beautiful meal? You grow your own fruits and vegetables, right? You grow and you raise your own goats or chickens or whatever. But who wants to do that? I'd rather go to a nice restaurant and have it all done for me. So if you want to have a nice meal in the property business, then give us a call. Let's have a talk about that, right? Now, you're going to need an architect to look at the site and give you their opinion on what style of dwelling could be built there, right? And also how many bedrooms, how large floor area can you build, any restrictions, right? Now, we have done the research to find the most profitable rooming house designs, how they should look like. We tend to do ones that have got separate lounge room, kitchenettes, separate bedrooms, separate courtyards. They're like micro apartments. But there is a skill to that, right? You got to know what you're doing. So again, you can engage a good architect. You can look at what we're doing. There's lots of people doing these now. Not as many as you think, and they're not doing it very well. But if you want to learn, you got to be the best at it. And if you want to be the best, then come and talk to me and my team, because we've done this before. So what can you do there? So anyway, zoning and planning, got a bit off the track there. Now, access the development side also for capital gain, rental returns potential, like what is it going to rent for once it's finished? And ask yourself, would I buy a rooming house investment property in this location if it was already completed? Right? So you got to think like the person who's going to be buying it rather than the developer. That's the mistake a lot of people make, is they develop in all sorts of areas where you wouldn't want to buy into or rent into if you were a renter or a potential investor. So as a developer, you got to think like your customers. That's a secret, right? And secondly, will it be attractive to potential tenants, as I've said? Because would you want to rent in that location? Would you want to rent this type of design? Would you be willing to pay a premium price, like I showed you before, how I transformed those apartments and the houses into a premium rental or a premium property for sale, because I designed them, we designed them better, we furnished them better, right? We made them more attractive. The step number 6 is buy or reserve the land. So there are a few different ways to secure the land. You can either purchase the land outright, or you can use what we call the multiple offer strategy, where you offer different price for the land based on the terms given to you by the seller, or the terms that you want from the seller. You could have, for example, delayed settlement terms, which then gives you the time to do your research, get your approvals for your project, get your DA, the development approval and so on done. Or number 3, you could buy it under option. This is a very, very good strategy. A very good friend of mine, Mark Rolton, he sometimes teaches these strategies, and he's made millions of dollars following this exact strategy, and I'll show you another example of somebody who used this strategy in a minute. But you basically pay 1 to 5% of the sales price as an option to buy the property, but you don't have to buy it if you don't want to at the end. So you only lose that 1 or 5% of the purchase price, and it's basically a legal right from the seller to a buyer to buy the property at an agreed price at a later date. However, if you don't buy it, all you lose is the option. So the option fee that you've paid. It's really a win-win for everybody. And the owner basically agrees to lodge a DA while you're doing all this, so you can get all your approvals done and you're not out of pocket for holding the land for say 6 months or however long it takes you to get those approvals, because there is a bit of work to actually get the zoning and the designs and everything done. Now, this is the world's most famous option. You're going to know exactly who I'm talking about once I get into it. But there was a property in New York, which was an old Commodore hotel, and it was for sale for 62 million, and it was on the market for a really, really long time, and nobody wanted to buy it because it was kind of a bit of a rundown area of New York at the time. Now, Donald Trump, have you heard of that guy? Yeah, he's famous now, but before he just used to be a developer. He offered $70 million for that property, so more than the person couldn't sell it for years. He offered them like almost 10-15% more, but he wanted a 2-year option for that, for that privilege for $70 million. Now, the next year he went and signed a partnership agreement with the Hyatt Hotel Corporation, which didn't have a large hotel in the downtown area. He worked out a deal with an almost bankrupt New York City to revamp the hotel, and he used some new technique to make it more modern. And it was renamed the Grand Hyatt. It was a popular, huge success, right? Making Trump one of the most famous and controversial developers in the USA, because that was in his early years of him doing this. It was quite a long time ago. And I think he made about $32 million on that one deal. So yeah, he was a deal maker. He's kind of, whether you love him or hate him in the US, political field, he's always been a deal maker, and he was always in business, and he did use options to buy his properties. Now, number 7, design the concept. So you need to engage an architect, do a preliminary design for the land, like what are you going to build there, basically a model of what type of property is going to look like. Look at, as I said, what is attractive, what is in demand, and what is going to be profitable long term, right? Get the full design and drawings done so that you can then get quotes from builders. But it's important to think long term. Don't think about today, because some rooming, co-living properties are being offered with tiny little shoebox bedrooms, right? They don't have separate lounge rooms, separate kitchenettes, their own courtyards. So they're like basically a bedroom with an attached bathroom. You're not going to get a quality tenant who's going to want to stay a long time like you will in basically a little mini 1-bedroom apartment setup, where the person's got privacy, convenience, indoor, outdoor space, separation of rooms, right? Ability to cook a meal, a large fridge, so it's like a mini apartment. They work much better long term and get much higher rents. And those are the kinds of designs that you need to look for. And we know how to do that. If you want help with that, give me a call and we can advise you on the way to do that. Now, the thing is, don't use cheap architects, because then you might have added variation costs. And also look at other rooming, and co-living building sites to find out what architects maybe are being used for this property, what builders are being used to build these properties. That's how you can find good architects and builders, by looking at those big signs outside of the site sometimes that tells you who is building and who's the architect and so on. Because that's the next step you're going to have to do, is find the builder. To get the best result from the builders, you will need to provide the following. The architectural designs, which you've already had done, and specifications for the project, and also the engineering and geotechnical reports, because the builder wants to know what's in the soil, because he'll want to know how much is it going to cost him to build the foundation and the slab on which he's going to build. Every builder knows the costs from the slab up. What they don't know is how much is it going to cost me to create the level building area on which I'm going to build. So obviously, if you've got a sloping block, it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more than if you've got a dead flat block and there's no rock or anything, and they can just put the slab straight on top and there's no chipping of the rock away, anything like that. That's, the ideal kind of block to build on. So you need to know all that before you engage a builder. That's one of the risks of buying land that's, for example, in a new area, right? That's why sometimes existing land is better with an old property on it. Now, you can find a reasonably priced builder. It's not easy at the moment, right, in today's property climate, because there is a shortage of builders in Australia. We already have builders in this area, but if you want to find one for yourself, look at existing projects, as I said, that are being built, and see who is building those. Ask real estate agents, town planners, finance brokers, architects, if they can or know a good builder, right? Referrals is the best way to go. So you're going to have to do a bit of work, a bit of legwork to find good builders. But hey, once you got a good builder and you want to do it again, it'll make it a lot easier. So it's well worth your time. The other option is, of course, contact us, right? If you already own a block of land, or you find a good site, we can do the rest for you, right? We can organize the plans, get the DA, the BA approvals, use our builders or property managers to rent or sell your finished product and so on. So we can kind of partner up with you on the development side of things. So if you already have land, you can bring it to us and we will do a partnership with you on that particular block of land. So that's another option rather than, again, doing it all yourself. But as I said, every time you give a little bit of the project away to somebody else, you will make a little bit less money. However, like I said, I would rather have a nice meal in a restaurant than try and grow the veggies and then cook it all, and then especially, you know how much work it is washing up and all that. I don't like washing up. So I like to do the whole thing. I like the whole experience, and that's what you're getting here, where it's done for you. So you're going to need to organize and confirm your finance, of course. Make sure you have enough money to finish the job. You got to have all your plans, your rental projections and documents in place when you go into the financier. So you're going to have all the preliminary work done, and obviously make sure you can fund the whole project. Okay, the next steps, you need to build it and you need to get it certified. So all the completion regular certificates have to be signed off. There is companies that do that. The builder will organize all that for you, and of course the property is completed. It's fully furnished. Either you got to do it or we do that, and then it's handed over to yourself and as a finished product. Now, the other next step is you got to appoint a selling and or rental management agent. So you'll need to organize an agent to either fire the tenants and manage your new property, or you can rent or sell it and do it again. So you need to find an agent to sell it for you, and then you can do it again. You settle it, you get your money. You start cashing in, you celebrate your win, and you do it again, or you sit back and enjoy the returns. There's an example of a property that just sold $1.6 million in Brisbane. That one, to develop it from scratch, would have probably cost around $1.2 million. So again, there is big profits in doing this from scratch. The more work you do yourself, the more money you make. Or you can make a little bit less money and have somebody else help you, like ourselves. So if you need to, call us. Right, if you need help with anything I've covered here, just call me and call our office, call my business, or whoever sent you this video. It'll just allow us to help you find out more about your goals, the best way forward. If you want to get involved in one of these projects with us, or if you want to do it on your own, we can give you more information. If you have the land and you want to assess its potential and organize the construction, we can do that for you. We can help you with that. If you want to take advantage of some of our development ready land and designed, rooming and co-living projects. So we've already got that, right? We've already got some of these things ready to go. We've got the designs, we've got the land ready to go, or not, we can find land for you. So that's another option. Or if you want us to find land in a particular state or area and be your development partners, we can do that as well. So just call us if you want to know anything about making money investing in property. Look, I've been doing this for a very, very long time, and I am very good at it. Right? I know property like it's in my blood. I have, as I said, I've done 25 of my own properties. I'm not a huge developer. We do boutique projects. We focus on finding things that are profitable, that are going to work, right? And I also invest in all these projects myself. Some of my other development partners, they always keep some of these properties for themselves, right? And they also sell some off to clients. They do partnership deals with other people, because the reason is you can't finance every single property opportunity that you find. So we're looking for partners to do this. As I said, you've got a lot of options. You either do it all, or the more work you put in, the more profit you make. As I said in the beginning, if you want to cook your own meal, you'll obviously pay less than going to a restaurant. I like going to restaurants. I don't know what you like doing, but whatever you like doing, give me a call. I'll look forward to meeting you. And get involved in real estate. Like one or two of these projects can literally set you up for life. I've already been retired for like 5 or 7 years. I'm just doing this because I enjoy property, right? I don't have to work again because of the investments that I've made in property in my past. My parents did the same thing before me. It is a great way to get wealthy in Australia, and I would like to be there alongside you and help you do it, or give you some advice. So let's do it. Give me a call, and I'll see you at the next video or some of our other projects that we got going.
Hey there guys, John Gian here. First of all, I want to congratulate you for actually turning up today. You know what, success is really easy. Sometimes you just have to turn up. I first had the opportunity to bump into some of Peter's information about 12 years ago, and since that period of time, the revenue that I've generated, I can attribute to those early beginnings with Peter, which is in the multiple millions of dollars. If you really sit there and really get it and see how it applies to your life, let me say this to you. I know this is going to be a big statement, but you will never be broke again. If you really sit there and you embrace this information, that's a big call. You'll never be broke again. What Peter's techniques has enabled me to do is grow a really quick business, fast profits, and then I've rolled that into real estate. So I've had the opportunity to live an amazing lifestyle, travel first class, 5-star hotels, latest model Mercedes, live in multi-million-dollar homes, but still have enough money to put into real estate and build a massive real estate portfolio as well. So my system is business, put stuff into real estate, right? And that's how the billionaires do it, the multi-millionaires do it, and that's how I suggest you do it as well. So thanks for giving me the opportunity, Pete, to shoot this video.
I've been following you for quite a few years, and like most people, I want to be able to retire comfortably and get the best returns on my investments. I'm actually looking to purchase another property that offered basically high returns and capital growth, and so sort of served all those main things for me. One was affordable, good returns and good capital growth, and I can see where those properties are located as well, like you showed me on the map where those different properties were, so that allowed me to get involved with the process as well, which I liked. The information that you provided me was very detailed, which was great, because I'm that type of person to want to know more about something before I invest in it.
Yeah.
Also too, you've got a lot of property yourself, so that sort of made me feel more comfortable in the process. I've also bought property too, so yeah, I think it was a good match. And yeah, looking to get my investment back in 6 or 7 years.
Hi, my name's Nessie Rose and I'm a single wage earner for whom property investing was a bit of a scary experience for me. I've known Peter Sun for over 15 years. Peter has lots of experience in property investing for himself, and this really helped me making my first property investment a lot easier. I was really hesitant. I had no experience in property investing myself, but now I've made over $350,000 profit in less than 4 years, and I am so looking forward to buying another one soon.
Hi, my name's Steve Pollard. I live on Miami on the Gold Coast. I met Peter at the Oracle building in Broadbeach approximately 4 years ago, where I had an investment property and Peter had investments in the building himself, and I found Peter to give me some very solid advice. Further on, 2 years later, he actually sold the apartment to my daughter, and the investment property that he had put us onto has proven to be quite a substantial win for her, and we're very happy with the service. I think Peter is a very honest person. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he has guided me very well towards other investments and investment ideas.
The new fractional rooming and co-living investments looks like a great opportunity for people starting out on their investment journey. My name's Shane and I live in Melbourne, and I've known Peter Sun for a long time. We met quite a few years ago and hit it off straight away, discussing real estate and real estate opportunities. Since then, we've bought properties in similar areas and locations, and I've continued to get advice from Pete ever since. So so he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of books on investment that you could gain a lot of experience from him.